Gender-based violence organization Women for Change says 25,000 women in South Africa have been victims of femicide since Reeva Steenkamp was killed in 2013. Steenkamp was killed by world-renowned athlete Oscar Pistorius, who was released from prison on Friday after serving 8 years behind bars for Steenkamp's murder. Spokesperson for the group, Bulelwa Adonis, said Pistorius' walk out of prison was a travesty to the struggle against GBV. Bulelwa Adonis is the spokesperson for the organization, and she joins us now for more. Bulelwa, compliments to you and welcome. Look, 25,000 women victims of femicide since the death of Reeva Steenkamp. Shocking statistics. Why do you think this trend still persists?
I feel like we are a condoning country. You know, we're a country that lacks accountability. I said in another conversation I had with somebody else that it almost seems like South Africa is a place where predators feel like this is a safe haven for them. Because for victims and survivors, on the other hand, this is definitely not the place to be. So I think that's one of the reasons. And I also feel like there's we've noticed an inconsistency in efforts towards stopping the scourge, this pandemic that we're fighting.
But Bulelwa, then who is failing our women and girls? Is it society, families, or even government?
Honestly, I think this is one of those issues that we can't point to one person. I think we need to understand as people. I think maybe that's where the problem is. I think maybe we have the mentality of, no, the government has to deal with this, our leaders have to deal with this, you know, but really it's a collective issue. I think maybe the lack of accountability and, you know, the state of our justice system as a society, maybe it has normalized our mentalities to think that, you know what, it is what it is. I think as a country, maybe as society, we've gotten to a point where we're numb to seeing headlines of people dying, people being murdered, people being raped, things like that. So I think I think it's not just one person. I think all of us have a part to play in this.
And then you said that the release of Oscar Pistorius doesn't aid in dealing with GBV and in fact goes against all efforts to combat the scourge and also sends the wrong message. Please elaborate.
Well, we feel like the mere fact that we're a rape capital of the world and that our femicide rate is 5 times higher than the global average. I think the biggest question we're asking ourselves as an organization is, why do predators of GBVF, why do they get parole? You know, I think that if they didn't get parole, maybe that would be our beginning or start point, our definition of justice. Because looking at the state of our country, looking at statistics that are only consistently rising, you know, seeing someone that is being released, you know, yes, some time is being served. I know people will argue that that is true. Yes, 8 years have been served. But the reality, the fact that we hold a record of, you know, a femicide rate that's 5 times higher than the global average, and we're still so comfortable. I mean, you said the statistics yourself of approximately 25,000 women, you know, being lost. I think we're too comfortable. You know, I think that, you know, that's one of the many reasons.
Look, Bulelwa, speaking of, you know, arguments, the issue of women who also continuously return or go back to their abusive partners, drop criminal cases after they have been lodged and continue to die at the hands of their abusive intimate partners is also a pandemic on its own. What advice do you have for such women who feel they have no way out of the cycle of abuse?
Sure. I think I want to start off by saying that I completely understand how fearful it must be. I know we're not all in the same situations, but, you know, that sort of fear where you feel caged in. I think that I just want to tell those women that, you know, your life matters, that your emotions, your future, your livelihood, your joy matters. You know, that you are so much greater than, you know, the abuse that you've been familiarized to. And the reality is that it's different situations for some people. Some people, maybe it's financial constraints. So it's easy for us to say all of these different advices when other people, they want their children to be fed. You know, they want to feed themselves. They don't want to be left on the streets and all these different things, you know. And I think that it takes a lot of courage, you know, to get out of certain situations. I would just say that your voice matters, and please don't allow yourself to be silenced, because I know what it's like to be silenced. I mean, trauma is quite crippling. You know, it's quite crippling, and people undermine that. People undermine the psychological aspect of trauma and, you know, abuse and all of these different things. So I think just understanding the worth within yourself, and I know it's easier said than done. I think maybe my words might be harmful to some people, and that's not my intent. I think it's just in understanding, first and foremost, that understanding that your voice and your story matters, and then slowly gaining the courage to try and escape your situation.
Unfortunately, Bulelwa, we're out of time. I would have liked to go on and on with this interview. Thank you so much for your contributions. Bulelwa Adonis there, she's the spokesperson for Women for Change, talking to us about the escalating numbers of gender-based violence.